Hey guys, what's up? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, then first off, thank you so much for stopping by. What it is I do here is every day of 2024, I vow to check out a new band or artist. Check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on the songs, give you my ranking of those songs, and then of course give you my overall thoughts on the artist based on what I just heard. As you can see right there, today's artist is none other than Hunny. So I've said it a few times recently, I'm heading to 4 Chord Fest in Pittsburgh next month. Hopefully I'll see you there. But there's tons of bands on the lineup that I just have not checked out yet, so I'm using Emo Cat Dad Listens as an opportunity to springboard myself into their musical catalog and see what I'm in for when I attend the festival next month. And Hunny is one of those bands. Now, as for what I think Hunny sounds like, I don't really know. I've seen Hunny on tours for bands like State Champs, which makes me think like, oh, it's a pop punk band. And, you know, 4 Chord is traditionally a pop punk festival. However, I've also seen them on tours with like water parks, and I don't know how, but they found me. And especially water parks likes to try to distance themselves from pop punk as much as possible, so they don't traditionally take out pop punk bands. They take out bands that do different stuff, like previously I Don't Know How and currently Loveless. So I'm expecting, I guess, if I had to guess, something like in the vein of water parks, where like you could see how it would fit with the pop punk genre, but also they play around with all different sounds. So that's what I'm expecting. Let's see if I'm completely wrong. Alright, so the first track I'm going to check out is off their Windows 1 EP, and it's Televised, which is their most streamed track on Spotify. Show me heartbreak 1,000 times. I don't care. Okay, so the verses of this track sound like a dance pop song, but then the chorus hits and it becomes like a synth Latin emo song. So it's melding 2 different styles just in the one song, but the synth is still there throughout to kind of put a common thread throughout the whole track. It works really well. The lyrics are really strong, but surprisingly, the part I liked most was the fade out at the end. Generally, as the regular viewers know, I hate intros, outros, and prolonged musical breaks. A fade out is like one of the worst ones for me, but this fade out was so cool. The music faded out, but the lyrics stayed the same. It was super cool, and I really enjoyed it. Alright, so Hunny's released 3 albums. So I'm going to check out a song from each of them, but I do just want to make mention that it seems like all their top songs on Spotify are the earlier tracks. So I'm not sure if this band switched styles or just people really love the old stuff. But yeah, they're not streaming these 3 albums very much. So their debut album was called Yes, 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 Yes. Yes, I had to count them. It was released in 2019, and I checked out the track Lula, I'm Not Mad. Okay, so this track is more in the vein of pop punk. It still has that indie flair to it, but I could definitely see where they would jump on tours with State Champs and play 4 Chord with this. Vocally, I think the lead singer sounds so much better on this track than on the last one. It wasn't specifically bad on the last one, it was just more low energy, and on this one he just sounds great throughout. And once again, the chorus is really, really good on this track. Unfortunately, lyrically, the chorus is kind of all we get. We get verse, chorus, and the chorus is a longer chorus, to be clear. And then verse, chorus, and then a bridge, which is just hey and who's for a couple seconds, and then chorus again, and then the outro, which is again just a couple hey heys to close it out. Alright, their next album was called Homesick, and I checked out the track Loser from that one. Once again, I'm sensing a theme here. This track has a great chorus. In the verses, though, I can't say I love the vocal melody. It sounds a little auto-tuned to be old sounding. It just didn't work for me. But the lyrics are really good in those sections. So there's that at least. Now, going into the song, had you have told me that there's a spoken word part where they repeat, "I don't want to feel like a loser," I would have been like, oh my god, this is gonna suck. But honestly, the band makes it work. It's basically two different voices that are doing it, a man and a woman, and they go back and forth, and they're saying it in different tones, and some of them kind of overlap with each other. It just ended up being a really cool sound. And finally, Hunny released their new album, New Planet Heaven, in October of 2023, and off that album, I checked out the first single, Action Reaction. Alright, so this is like a mid-tempo banger of a track. Really enjoyed the melody on this one, but Hunny graced us with what is probably the worst chorus of these tracks, which is extremely disappointing for myself personally, because I just thought they were going to write a good chorus every single time out. But the vocals are back to sounding exactly how I prefer them, and there's also a little tinge musically of televised, so they're still playing in that old sandbox still. Alright, so those are 4 tracks I checked out. Let's go ahead and rank them, starting with number 1. I have to give it to Lula, I'm Not Mad. This was the most in my wheelhouse, so that's honestly probably what gets it here, but the reality is the vocals, the lyrics, and the music were all the strongest here for me personally. So even though it's sonically in my wheelhouse, when you can rank number 1 in all those spots, it's going to be number 1 regardless. At 2, I'm giving it to Televised. I really dug this chorus. It might be my favorite chorus out of these tracks, and I appreciate the swings of having basically 2 different genres in one track, but ultimately it fell a little short of Lula. At 3, I'm going Action Reaction, that new track. I did say that this was my least favorite chorus of the tracks, but the verses were probably just behind Lula in strength, so that's what gets it at number 3. Which, of course, puts our big loser at 4. Loser. I really think for this one it was the vocal melody in the verses that sunk it. I did think for a second maybe Action Reaction, but when I started thinking about just the verses and not the whole song, I realized how much more I enjoyed the verses on Action Reaction. So unfortunately, loser, you need to take this L. Alright, so what are my overall thoughts on Hunny? This band is extremely cool. They didn't play with as many different sounds as I was expecting going in, but that was my own expectations based on the touring schedule. They do still play in different sandboxes, with perhaps no better example as on Televised, where we go from dance pop to emo seamlessly. And then, of course, the next track I listened to was a pop punk song. So, Hunny is still giving us different sounds, just I guess they're contained sonically in one song. I am excited to dive into their back catalog in preparation for 4 Chord Fest, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking them out at that show. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I appreciate you making it to the very end of this video. We're on day 120 something, so we still got a heck of a lot more days to go, so I need your help. This is a call to arms. Please leave me some suggestions of bands or artists I absolutely need to check out in the comments. And while you're down there, give me your thoughts on Hunny. Have you checked them out? Have you not checked them out? Are you going to now? Or are they just not your thing? That's cool too. But ultimately, I'm hoping you come back tomorrow for more Emo Cat Dad Listens Greatness. Maybe I'll get to one of your requests. And the best way to remember to come back is if you simply cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off for now, but until tomorrow, I want to hear you sad.